Now, badgers have been at the heart of a serious dispute for years now. For farmers, they're a danger to their livelihoods, spreading tuberculosis to cattle, which then have to be killed. Really? To animal welfare campaigners, badgers are an iconic symbol of British wildlife. Well, earlier this week, the farmers came out on top as the first licence to cull badgers in West Gloucestershire was issued by the government. Now, a group of animal welfare campaigners have launched a national campaign opposing the cull. Well, fronting that campaign, and you will have heard him a few minutes ago, is the Queen guitarist Brian May, who joins me alongside Adam Quinney, who's the Vice President of the National Farmers Union. Gentlemen, it's great to have you on the programme.
Thank you. I'm sorry to interrupt.
What was wrong with that?
I'm sorry to interrupt. Just because that's what's at the centre of the dispute. You know, you've said that badgers are responsible for this. They're not. You know, farming is responsible for this. They've created a problem by spreading a disease into the wildlife community, you know, who are now accused of spreading it back into cows. That's the centre of the problem. So
you're saying that badgers do not give TB to cattle?
They are part of a whole system where they pass it back and forth to each other, which I think Adam would probably agree with. You know, the question is, will it make any difference culling these, you know, killing these creatures? And all the scientific evidence shows that it won't. So this is a doomed cull, and thousands of lives of badgers will be lost.
A huge amount of protesters against this. I mean, is Brian right?
Well, no, he isn't right, because the scientific evidence, the most recent scientific evidence, says that having a cull managed this way will have nearly a 30% effect. I mean, it's interesting that the DEFRA group brought together a group of scientists together last year, eminent professors from all over the university, including the deputy chairman of the previous experiment, and they said by amending the previous cull, this would have a significant difference and be worthwhile doing.
But only yesterday, or the day before, Lord Krebs, who is the ultimate authority on badgers, said this is a crazy idea to cull.
Well, crazy is a real scientific term, isn't it? I mean,
it is.
Anything.
Well, it means that it's a very misguided attempt. Well, this is the man whose science you are quoting to support your cull.
Well,
it's incredible.
The thing is, we're not going to repeat what Krebs did in his trials. We've learned from what he did then. It was a mismanaged trials in many effects. They didn't achieve what they set out to do. But the fact remains that the people in those areas that were part of that proactive cull have got 30% less TB in those cattle now, numerous years later, compared to the areas that didn't have the cull. And that's definitely worth something going for.
Brian, why do you care so passionately about this campaign?
It's a part of a broader thing for me. I think the human race has a very bad way of dealing with the rest of the creatures on this planet. I don't think we act responsibly at all, and this is a prime example. You can put a value on a cow, it's a few £1,000s. These guys, you're looking at a decent man here, but these guys put no value whatsoever on a badger, who is a very wonderful, sentient creature.
Well, my cattle, which we spent generations breeding up, I went to a farm recently where he's been breeding on his own farm. These cattle born on the farm that represent a rare breed. 1% of the national herd had to be put down in one day because those cattle had TB, and yet those cattle were born and bred in the farm.
And this is people's livelihood. This is farmers.
Yes.
I mean, is it true, Adam, that your farm had to be shut for 18 months because of TB?
We've been shut down for 18 months. We've never had TB on our farm ever before, and it's meant that all the cattle have to be tested twice every 60 days. This is a massive effort and strain on the livestock, and the stress around that, the stress on the family. We talked about saving the badger, but what about saving our cattle as well?
Shouldn't your sympathy be with the farmers, Brian?
My sympathy is a lot with the farmers, and I spent about 1.5 years of my life trying to solve this problem and make sure that we didn't get to this point of war. Yes, I have great sympathy for the farmers, but really this is not the way to solve it. I would like to see vaccination, and we've already agreed, the two of us, that we will go to Europe and try and get permission so we can vaccinate our cows.
And in Wales, they are not culling badgers. They're waiting for vaccination. So why don't farmers in England do the same thing?
We would love to have a vaccination policy that worked, but the fact is we don't have a vaccine yet that's licensed, that has an success rate above 60%. So the only vaccines we've got on offer won't work, and also they're not approved, and it could affect our trade. And while we have a vaccine for badgers, it's extremely difficult to vaccinate badgers. So
you mean it's expensive? That's
no,
it's a little more difficult, but this is the only ultimate way to control this disease.
Could you fund it?
I'm helping to fund it at the moment. I mean, I'm putting my time and effort in. I want this to succeed, but everybody, I think, in Britain is behind us. I was putting up a poster today. I was getting people... Well, I think a large percentage of people.
We have to leave it there, I'm afraid.
Teambadger.org. Go and put your name on the petition, please.
Talking to you both. Thank you very much for coming on.